Hey guys, so I wanted to come here and talk to you guys about timeline shifting and the fastest way to shift to your abundant frequencies. All right, so first of all, we want to think of timelines, right, as frequency lanes, right? So it's like all of these timelines that are already existing. And you get to decide which lane you get to get in, right? Like which one you get to experience, right? Every outcome already exists. It's already existing. We're not actually creating, we're tapping into, we're tuning into specific frequencies, which will then allow for us to experience specific timelines, right? So the poor you, the struggling you, the thriving you, all of these realities already exist. They're all running their show and their timeline. And so you get to decide when you want to tap in to those different realities to experience them, right? And the one that you're living is simply your dominant energy. This is your dominant frequency, okay? This is the one that you see every single day. This is your dominant vibration, all right? And so we want to remember that our thoughts, our speaking, our actions, and our emotions are what is locking us into a specific timeline. What are you thinking on a consistent basis? What are you speaking on a consistent basis? What are you feeling on a consistent basis? And what are you embodying? What identity are you embodying, right? Most people stay in the struggle loop. They stay focused on their past. And when we're focused on our past, right, we stay in a loop. Why? Because what you think about, you create. What you focus on, you create. The emotion that you are feeling, the thoughts that you are thinking about, this is all causing you to identify with a specific identity, right? And so because of that, that's sort of locking you into this realm, this timeline. All right. And so if you're in regret, if you're thinking a lot about, the pain that you've experienced and you feel like a victim, you're focused on the past. You'll loop that, okay, until you decide to tap into another timeline. If you experience anxiety, you are focused on the future, right? And you are, then at that point, causing yourself to stay in a loop of anxiety and worry, overthinking, okay? So, what identity are you embodying on a consistent basis? This will determine the reality that you get to experience. Okay, so your frequency. Let's talk about frequency anchors and frequency leaks. Okay, if your frequency determines the timeline that you get to experience, then that means that we can timeline hop, right? So here I am. You've seen someone, who is not usually, say, for instance, what's a good example, really quick? Say someone, someone, right? They usually are living, like paycheck to paycheck. And then all of a sudden they get this huge chunk of money, right? This huge chunk. And so they tapped into a frequency, a timeline where they were abundant, right? Financially stable, had abundance. Well, we can tap into different timelines. You can meet the person of your dreams and then self-sabotage that, right? So we frequency hop, right? When we are tapping into these different timelines, right? Experiencing something, all right? But then we are snatched right back into our dominant frequency. All right. If you are seeing somebody get a big chunk of money, but then in a month later they're broke again, that's they opened up and allowed themselves to shift into a different timeline, right? They shifted their frequency. They experienced that abundance. Then, okay, because they weren't maintaining that frequency, they were snatched right back to their dominant frequency. See, you've got to anchor in that frequency. When you touch it, you've got to anchor it in. Okay. Anchors are your daily practices, consistency. What are your rituals, your daily habits, your daily routines, right? What are your beliefs? What are your beliefs? Because your beliefs coincide with who you think you are, basically. And that ties into your identity, right? That's your identity. Okay. And so your identity, of course, determines the 3D that you see. Okay. So, what are you anchoring in? What are you practicing? What are your habits? What is the identity that you are identifying with? What are your beliefs, right? Who are the people? What are your environments? Did you switch up your environment? Okay. These are anchors. These are going to help you, right? Anchor in, hold on, maintain, be consistent with that identity, that timeline that you have tapped into. Okay. Now, how do we make these have frequency leaks, right? Like, how does our frequency leak? Okay. So, again, when we are pursuing a different timeline, we must embody that which we desire. You must embody the identity of the one who is experiencing the timeline that you want to be on, right? So, if you are embodying the new identity and you're always getting sucked back in by your old friends, or you're having a lot of the same old conversations with family members, or emotional triggers or old habits, showing up, addictions, things like that, right? This drags you right back into that old identity. So there's a frequency leak. There's causing a leakage in your frequency, which causes you then to revert back. Okay. So we know we don't want to be timeline hopping like that and then risking, the leakage in our frequency. This is all just okay. But what we do want to do is stabilize. Okay. When we tap into a specific frequency, we want to be able to stabilize. And the reason why we want to stabilize is because we want that to become our dominant frequency, correct? That's what we want. We want for that timeline to become our dominant one. And so the only way that that is going to happen is if we maintain that vibration for an extended period of time. Okay. So when you're stabilizing, what are we doing? We are holding the frequency long enough for us to see the change. Okay. All right. I know for a fact that breath helps a lot. I mean, helps a lot tremendously. Breathing helps tremendously. Okay. So it helps tremendously because your nervous system is what's interacting with the universe, right? And so if you are, say, for instance, you are working on feeling abundant, calling in financial stability for yourself, right? And in the past, you've been used to just living paycheck to paycheck and experiencing lack. Okay. And so now here you are embodying the new identity. Okay. You're practicing that, embodying it. And then all of a sudden you get hit with a big bill. Okay, wow. What's going on? I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to feel wealthy. And all of a sudden I get hit with a huge ass bill. I don't have the money for that. Right. And that's what you are thinking. And so in the past, you would cry. You may be in the bed. You may, go downhill. You may overeat. You may not eat, whatever the case may be. Right. That's the past. That's what's keeping you stuck in that loop of always experiencing that. But see, now you're going to stabilize. All right. You're going to stabilize that frequency. Instead of your nervous system feeling anxious and scared and fearful, we have to retrain it to feel calm. And so when you receive that big check, okay, or those challenges, while you are embodying this new identity, what I want you to do is breathe. Breathe in with your nose and breathe out with your mouth. And I want you to affirm that all is well. I trust the universe to provide. That is it. And then I want you to maybe go and have a cup of tea or go and, do something that you wouldn't typically do because we want to break out of the loop. We've got to break out of the loop. Okay. I love you guys. I hope that these tips help and can't wait to see you again.